Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. First of all, and I say this most weeks, thank you so much for watching Magic TV this week. I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for you guys watching this content, there wouldn't be a channel. So thank you very much. Now, if you've not watched a Q&A before, two things that you need to know. First of all, I answer these questions on around about a Wednesday, sometimes a Tuesday. So if you want to guarantee getting your question answered, you want to ask it by sort of Wednesday at the very, very latest. If I miss the question, I'm very sorry. Just leave it in the comments to this video. I'll get back to it next week. And also, please remember that the answers to these questions are very spontaneous. I don't try and script this ahead of time. You're getting my raw, unfiltered, off-the-cuff opinion on this. If I do think that a question is worthy of a kind of a bigger, more meatier video, I will do that from time to time, and that happens quite a lot. Anyway, with that all being said, there are quite a lot of videos, quite a lot of questions this week. So I'm going to get straight into it with this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from David Fishbeck. And how you doing, David? The question is, sorry this is long, started buying Magic in 1981. Dated Harry Blackstone's Jr.'s daughter in 1983, wow, and taught 7 to 13-year-old school for 30 years. Retired when COVID hit, and I'm sitting on about $10,000 of random stuff bought during those years. Would like to do shows for 12 to 40 kids or people for birthdays, library shows, or school shows. What would be the best 7 tricks to buy in the $150 to $700 range? Thanks so much, as you helped me survive the COVID time period and early retirement, and it was a very rough period. Well, David, you're more than welcome. I'm so glad that this channel helped in one way or another. That is precisely why this whole thing was set up. So that makes me very, very happy. In terms of the 7 tricks to buy in the $150 to $700 range, it obviously depends on the show. Now, you say shows for 12 to 40 kids or people for birthdays, library shows, or school shows. What you want to do is I tend to find that when you're doing you're kind of looking at a kid show or a family show here. And what I typically suggest when you're putting a family show together is that you get tricks that will appeal predominantly to the older age range of the children, but make it so that it works across all ages. So what I mean by that, for example, if you buy a trick that is inherently very kiddie, whatever that may be, you know, like a trick that's very, very kiddie, that's designed really for younger children, you're going to struggle to have that play for older kids. But you can take a trick that's designed for sort of older kids, or even a cabaret trick or a trick that's designed for adults, and you can have that work for younger children just through presentation, not a problem. In that money, if you're going to be putting school shows on and birthday party shows and library shows and so on and so forth, the first thing I'd spend my money on is a good sound system, or a decent sound system. Get yourself a mic, get yourself a PA system. That will be worth a million magic tricks, because A, it brings a level of professionalism, B, it looks good, C, it's just going to make you your life a lot easier when you're doing the show, and it's just going to be an easier experience all round. It's going to save your voice, so when you end up doing a lot of shows, you're not going to be walking around croaking. I would say it's very, very important to get a PA system and get a head mic. You can get a good one for sort of $200 to $300 now. Yeah, you can spend a lot more, but if you just want to get a decent one that will work fine, you can get one for $200 or $300. Look at a Qualtex or something like that. No, that's a balloon, Qualtex. I can't remember it. A couple of Q&As ago, I talked about a budget PA system. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, look into PA systems and look into head mics. That's really important, and you do want to have a head mic with it, not a hand mic, because you're going to need your hands free. In terms of what tricks I would do, really kind of depends on you as a character. And what I mean by that is, what sort of character are you going to play in the show? A lot of people that do kids shows, they gravitate towards clowns or people that have, silly buffoons where magic's going wrong. And if that's the case and that's what you want to go for, that's absolutely fine. You might want to go for more of a sophisticated style of magic, in which case you're going to go for a different type of prop. So the first thing that you need to figure out is, what is the show going to be? How are you going to act in the show? What is your character going to be? Because when you understand your character, that will dictate the type of tricks that you buy. With that being said, tricks that will work really well for this age range. And again, it very much depends on your ability with sleight of hand, or your ability, your skill level. And what I mean by that is, if you can do, stupid example, but if you could do the multiplying balls, for example, well, that's a great trick to do because you can do it to music, you can do it presentationally, but it's a difficult trick to do. It takes a long time to learn how to do the multiplying balls. So it very much also depends on your skill level. And the other thing it depends on is the environment in which you're performing. And what I mean by that, you've said libraries, and that's absolutely fine. But the other shows that you're talking about, are you going to be on a stage? Are you going to be in a village hall? Are you going to be in someone's living room? Because again, that dictates what you do. I could say, get yourself a dancing cane. And a dancing cane is great. But the problem with the dancing cane is you need to be very specific with the lighting, and if the lighting's wrong, people are going to see how it works. So all of this stuff and this is the problem that a lot of magicians have. Regardless of whether it's a kid's show or a family show or a corporate show, the problem is they go, right, I'm going to put together a show. What trick shall I buy? And the problem with that is, before you decide what tricks you should buy, you need to know every single aspect of that show. Where is it going to be performed? What's the environment? What's your character? How many people are you going to perform for? What lighting conditions are you going to have? What sound conditions are you going to have? Are people going to be speaking English, or is it in a community where there's a lot of non-English speaking people? All of this stuff is information that you need to know before you actually start putting this show together. Having said all of that, in terms of tricks that I would say are really good, regardless of all of that, and again, it very much depends on you. I think a lot of the classics work really well. Linking rings is a great trick. I perform it all the time. Look into Timmy Toilet Paper by Sean Begonia. Not Sean Begonia. Who's Timmy Toilet Paper by? My gosh. I'm having a bad day today. It's not Sean Begonia. That's the guy that does the... let's have a look here. Timmy Toilet Paper. It's one of the funniest torn and restored ever. I do it in my show all the time. Tom Begone. There we go. Timmy Toilet Paper by Tom Begone. It's a fantastic trick that you can do in kid shows. You can do in family shows. And while you're looking at his stuff, go and check his Magnetic Kid out. But that's really good as well. You know what? A lot of people slag this off, and they say that it's old hat, but it's not. It's old hat to magicians because we've seen it a million times. But I still think it's a very good trick, which is Vanishing Bandana. Vanishing Bandana is a great trick, like a really awesome trick that works for family audiences, works for kids, works for everybody. You might want to look into Vanishing Bandana. I've always been a big fan, and I think it works across all ages, of sort of Tommy Wonder's The Ring, the Watch and the Wallet. And I think that can play well to any audience. And if you like that sort of thing, have a look at The Heist by Vanishing Ink, because that's a great routine that plays to a big group of people regardless of age. That's very, very magical as well. So have a look at The Heist. I'm always a big fan of doing organic magic. So something like self-tying shoelaces is great. It's not an expensive prop, but if you're doing a kid's show and you walk out on stage and your shoes are untied, those kids are going to let you know within seconds. And then you can do the self-tying shoelaces, and it looks like you're just doing magic because you're trying to solve a problem, which really appeals to kids, because now you've done something that they wish they could do, because they're all frustrated at tying shoelaces. You've just magically tied your shoelaces. They love that. an opener that I do in my show an awful lot, because I'm a believer that with your opener, you need to have a visual, make it look really good, and also establish your character. So an opener that I've used for years, which works really well, is to come out with a vanishing cane and show the cane and say, hey, I'm going to do some magic with the cane. Watch very carefully. And I shake the cane, and as I shake the cane, it turns into two handkerchiefs, which is a really strong visual that everybody loves. I then put the two handkerchiefs away, and I say to people, well, you're probably wondering how that works. Well, it's really simple. You just got to have a big nose. You see, before I started the show, up my left nostril, I put the white and the red handkerchief. And then when I came on stage and I blew the cane, I sniffed it up my right nostril. And at the same time, I blew the handkerchiefs out my left nostril. I caught them, and that's how it works. Oh, you don't believe me? It doesn't look like you believe me. I'll prove it to you. And that while I'm doing this, I've grabbed an appearing cane, which I've got palmed in my hand. And I turn side onto the audience, and I just bring the appearing cane up and I let it go, and I go, achoo! And it shoots out my nose. And this visual of this cane just flying out my nose is incredible. So, I mean, you know, that's a great opener, because you don't see many people doing appearing canes, and it gives you a real a real skill thing. It really looks like you've done something that most kids entertainers don't do. On that subject, bents and bowl, cups and balls, all of that is really good. But again, it very much depends on your character and your skill level and who you are. So there's a few examples of tricks that I would buy if I was putting a show together right now. But as I say, the most important thing is figure out all the foundations, get all the foundations in place. And then when you've got the foundations in place, then you can actually construct the show. Okay, so the next question is from Michael Dr. Dre, and he says, hi Craig, thanks for all your videos, you're more than welcome. I really appreciate the thoughts and the experience that you share, so helpful, you're more than welcome. Besides that, did I miss the winner of the Colour Psychology giveaway? Have an awesome day, everyone. Awesome year, everyone. No, you didn't. It's happening at the end of this video. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be doing a draw out of a hat, and the winner is going to be announced at the end of this video. So keep watching. At the end of this video, we're going to have the live draw for the two winners of Colour Match. Not Colour Match, Colour Psychology. Just so you know, I'm very sorry. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here. I'm filming this very, very early because I have got such a manic day, and I didn't go to bed till 2 because I was doing one-to-ones with a lot of the gold members. So I'm very, very sorry. I've had about 3 hours sleep. I apologise. Okay, so the next question is Sol Gamero, and Sol says, Happy New Year to you and your magical family. Thanks, buddy. Same to you. You have a super channel with much insight on different aspects of magic. Again, thank you. Ryland is an amazing kid. It seems like you are the Mark Wilson and he is your Greg. Yeah, I can kind of relate to that. Watching him grow into a fine young magician before our eyes is a true spectacle. My question is he ready to teach a trick or two on a DVD, video download, etc.? He truly inspired me to purchase the dancing cane. I would love to hear his tips on the length of the string and what finger he uses for it. I feel he performs this better than most magicians out there. Thanks. Well, yeah, I mean, last year at the age of 9, he contributed his own version of Cups and Balls to the Coffee Cups and Beans project that was put out by Vulpine. And there's a performance and an explanation by Ryland. So there's like a 15-minute section on the Coffee Cups and Beans project of Ryland's routine. And Vanish, which has just recently come out by Justin Miller, Ryland's on that, teaching a couple of routines as well. He's got his first release coming through Alakazam. It's been filmed and it's been done. I don't know when it's coming out because obviously we've got a lot of stuff coming out in the weeks and months ahead, but it's coming out soon, and it's his first release. He's been doing it for the last couple of years and it's really good. I tweaked a couple of little things for him, but it's 99% his. So he has got his first actual physical product coming out soon, which I'm so super proud of. In terms of the dancing cane, I agree. I think he does that brilliantly. I know a few people said, oh, it's better to use 2 hands. And he does actually use 2 hands. In that video, he just used 1. But I'm going to post a video in a week or 2 of him doing a full 2-handed routine. He didn't have much space when he was doing that thing on the Matchumentary with Matt or in the House of Secrets. But when you see him on a proper stage, he's got two hands, he's doing it all over the place. He's got moves that he didn't show in the documentary, like where you kick it and it spins and flies up and then goes around you, tons of stuff. And it's just a joy to watch, it really is. Every time he does a show, we try to make the lighting work so we can do the dancing cane. I've seen people do it better, and I tell him this, but he practices an awful lot. You know what? I'd never thought of him talking about how to do the dancing cane. I know there's very little information out there because we spent ages looking, although we have found some sources. But he's come up with his own little bits and pieces that really helped him as a beginner. I mean, if you guys are really interested in that, I don't do the dancing cane at all. I could probably do a hows and whys with the dancing cane with Ryland and kind of do a teaching on how he does it and what he does to actually make it work. If you guys would be interested in that, let me know, but we can put together a kind of hows and whys of the dancing cane if that's something that you want to see. Okay, so the next question is by Just Josh, and Just Josh says, "Hi Craig, thanks for taking the time to answer my question. It's a fairly long one, so I apologise in advance. Here's the context. A few days ago, I saw a post on a magician's Facebook group where somebody posted an interaction he had with a potential client via text. The client offered $100 for a 30-minute performance, but the magician ended up not taking the gig as that was below his asking price. Reading further along in the comments, I found out that his usual rate is around $350 for a performance. The advice in the comment section on his post ranges from praises of glory for sticking to his guns and valuing his skill as a magician to concerns about undercutting the market and even sharp rebuks for being too arrogant with his pricing and overvaluing his performance. The reason I bring this up is because I think about actively venturing into the world of paid gigs. I find a lot of similarity, conflicting advice when I try to figure out what I should charge for my performances. One thing I try to take into consideration is that these guys are mostly professional magicians. I am not and probably never will be a full-time magician. I would definitely consider myself higher quality than Uncle Larry, who pulls coins out of everyone's ears during family events. The only comparison I've been able to make between my shows and other magicians is whatever I can find on YouTube. But I don't want to risk being arrogant and assume the stuff I do is approaching the same level as what I see online and charge similar prices if I'm not actually that good. I've been performing magic for 3 to 5 years and I have 3 paid gigs under my belt that have paid me between $100 and $150 per event. From what I've been able to find while researching the market in my area, that's about $100 cheaper and sometimes more than what working magicians in my area charge. I know there'll always be a difference in quality between a dedicated hobbyist hoping to make some extra cash to pay for school and a professional magician who does this for a living and needs to put food on the table. But where do I draw the line? Should I be satisfied with the $100 to $150 range because I might not have the same quality show and definitely not the same quality props as a professional? Or is it better to play up and market myself along the same lines as the pros do? I'm sure you've got some great advice on the Netrix about this, but unfortunately money's a bit tight right now and grad school is expensive. So I'm hoping to get your thoughts on this. Thanks again. Your channel has literally been a godsend to people like me. Sorry for the long question. Wow. Okay. So this could be a video in its own right. So I'm going to try and be as succinct as possible. If you are an established magician, there is a very good argument to say that you should stick to your prices. And I mean an established magician, somebody who is full-time, that's been making a living for this for a very long time, that goes out and say charges $500 for a couple of hours or whatever it may be. If you're that guy, taking a $100 gig on probably isn't the best thing. Because if you're regularly going out, and I'm talking you're established, you're regularly going out at $500, dropping your fee for one gig, unless it's a charity or you have a reason for doing it, might impact if somebody sees you at that event and they ask the client who booked you how much they paid for you and they say $100, it could cause problems. The only reason you'd want to drop your fee as a full-time professional magician is if you're just not getting any work. Because the thing is, you need to look at the business of magic as a business, right? Because it is a business. Whether you do 2 gigs a year or 100 gigs a year, it's a business. And if you're a full-time pro, a lot of magicians just think, oh, I've got a gig, I've got a gig, I've got a gig. But you have to think of it as a business, and you have to think of it as turnover and profit. And ultimately, the most important thing is profit. When you run a business, the most important thing is profit. And I know there's going to be people that are going to be watching this that are going, oh no, profit's not important. Profit's not, it's not about the money. Well, yes, it is. If you're running a business, it's about the money, because if there's no profit, there's no business. You may as well just not bother doing it. So you have to think about profit, right? Now, I know that there's people on Facebook groups that will, a bit like that Dwayne Hill guy, that will say, no, you shouldn't be going out and charging anything less than $1,000 a show, and you're devaluing yourself, and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you're going out and if you're getting no work, if you're getting one show a month and you're a full-time pro, and I know there's full-time pros out there that hardly getting any gigs at all, and they've openly told me they've been struggling since COVID. If that's the case, well, you need to reevaluate, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If you're getting no gigs at the level that you are at, you either need to figure out what's going wrong, because somewhere something's going wrong. Is it that you're not getting enough inquiries in which case you need to look at your marketing to increase your inquiries? Is it that you're not converting as many inquiries into bookings, in which case you need to look at your sales process because your conversion rate is whack? Or is it that you're not getting any repeat bookings from people that have booked you before, in which case there might be an issue with your show? Because if you're doing your show and you're not getting any feedback, or you're not getting any repeat bookings, there's lots of different things that will impact why you're not getting gigs. But if you're a full-time pro and you're not getting gigs, one of the factors that you need to consider is that people aren't booking you because they don't think that you're worth the price that you're charging. In which case, you might need to reevaluate that, because at the end of the day, if you're a full-time pro and you've got to put food on people's plates, on your family's plates and whatever, and you're sticking to your guns and you're not going to charge less than $1,000 a show, but you're doing one show a month, well, that means that you're making $1,000 turnover. But if you're charging $300 a show, and you're getting more people booking at that level, and you're doing 30 shows, well, that's not, what 300 times 30? Is that $9,000 or something? The point is, you're going to be making a lot more money. Now, I think the general rule of thumb is you find that level, and don't listen to anyone else. Go with your own gut, but find that level where you're converting inquiries into bookings. Find out what that level is. And when it is, go out and regularly perform, because you're new to this. You're not an established professional that's been doing it for years. You've been doing it for a few years. You've done 3 paid gigs. You're new to this. The advice that people will give you, where they say, don't charge less than $1,000, you're devaluing yourself, that's great. But you haven't had much flight time. There are a million things you learn by going out and performing. And you learn that by working a lot. So find a level where the inquiries and the leads that you're getting are converting. Now, it might be cheaper than other people, but don't worry about devaluing the industry. That's not going to happen. I hate it when people say that, oh, you're undercutting the industry, you're ruining the industry. Well, no, you're not. This is the price you've chosen to set for yourself. I can go out and find a plumber that charges 50 quid. I can find a plumber that charges 500 quid to do basically the same thing. That £500 plumber is going to be getting a lot of work, as he wouldn't be charging 500. The £50 plumber is going to be getting a lot of work. Because the plumber's that charging £50, it's not going to put the £500 plumber out of business. So you want flight time. You want to be going out and getting as much flight time as possible, and you want to get as many gigs as possible, because that's going to lead to you getting more money, which you can reinvest into your business, and so on and so forth. Now, when you get to a point where you've got more, you're turning people away, left, right, and center, and you're turning people away, and people are inquiring, and you go, no, I haven't got that date, I haven't got that date, and all your key dates are being taken relatively quickly, which will happen because when you go out and you start working, you're going to be able to give away business cards, you're going to be going out there, people are going to see who you are, you're going to have word of mouth. There is no better marketing than word of mouth. There's a lot of professional magicians that just make a living with no marketing budget at all, and instead they get everything from word of mouth. And once you've started doing that, once you've started going out there and working regularly, you're going to get a lot of word of mouth inquiries. When you start turning people away all of the time, that's when you put your price up. Because now you can put your price up. Now, when you put the price up, it's a very scary thing, putting your prices up. Maybe you go from being a $200 magician to a $400 magician. And you're going to have people that maybe booked you the previous year and they want to book you again, and you're telling them it's twice as expensive, and they go, well, no, I can't afford that. You're going to have people that are going to turn around and say no because of the cost. But you're also going to have people that say yes, and you're still going to book those people in, and it's just going to massively increase your turnover because you've now making more money per booking, and you're still getting all these inquiries in. And then when you've got to a level where you're busy and you're turning away work left, right, and centre at that level, you put your prices up again, and then you put your prices up again. But again, it comes down to profit. And what you need to understand is, in order for your business to be profitable, there's more than one measurable way to make a big difference to a business. And what I mean by, and magicians will fixate on price as if that's the only important thing, but it's not. You can keep the price exactly the same, work on other aspects of your business, and massively increase your profit without actually worrying about price. I've got a video on the Netrix in the silver level called Small Changes, Big Difference, and it talks all about this. But I'll give you a couple of examples. Conversion rate. If you work on your conversion rate and you implement things into your sales process and into your marketing to improve that conversion rate, well, what's going to happen is you're going to ultimately book more gigs. And when you book more gigs, you're going to make more money. Look at stuff like reducing your expenses. If you reduce your expenses and you're smart about your expenses and you kind of reduce the amount, and a lot of magicians think, oh, I don't even know what my expenses are, which is part of the problem. They don't run the business like a business. But if you think about reducing your expenses, well, that's going to ultimately lead not to more turnover, but remember, profit is basically turnover minus expenses equals profit. So you're going to create more profit because you're reducing the outgoings, if that kind of makes sense. There's a million different ways that you can impact that bottom line. But in the position that you're in, as a new magician that hasn't gone out and done many paid gigs, my advice would be to go out, find a level that you're comfortable at, find a level where, because the other thing is, right, okay, I'll mention one other thing about this. The people that are giving you advice that are saying, oh, you should be charging $1,000 a day, $1,000 a gig, that's what you should be charging. Now, they might be charging that, and that's fine, but they've been doing this for a very, very long time, which means their digital footprint is exceptional. And what I mean by the digital footprint is when people research into a magician, what is it they find online? What's the website like? What's the show reel like? What are the live performance videos like? What are the gallery of photos like? What are the spectator reactions like? How many reviews do they have on Facebook? How many reviews do they have on Google? How many reviews do they have on Trustpilot or whatever the platform might be that you're using? They will do research. So if you're quoting for a job and somebody else is quoting for a job and they're charging $1,000 and you're charging $1,000, well, all of a sudden you're in direct competition with that person. Now, if they've been doing it for years and they've got hundreds of reviews and hundreds of videos and hundreds of photos, and they're just going to look like the better option compared to you, who's got none of that because you've only ever done 3 paid gigs in your life. So by going out and charging the same price as other people in your area, you're just never going to get the booking. You're never going to convert that inquiry into a booking because you don't look as good as the other person that you're competing against. So one of the things that you need to do when you go out to a gig is you need to improve your assets. You need to improve your digital footprint. Say to somebody, hey, I'm going to do this at a cheaper rate for you, but I want to bring a photographer with me. I'm going to do this at a cheaper rate for you, but I'm going to bring a videographer with me. My my business mentor, is a guy called Brad Burton, and he has this thing called ACE. Stands for ACE. And it's a very long, complicated thing, but to very quickly boil it down, it's all about when you go to a gig, you need to have one of three things. A stands for assets, C stands for cash, or E stands for experience. So in other words, if you're taking a gig and you want to make sure that you've got one of three things from there. So the first thing, the C, is cash. That's relatively simple, right? You need to get paid. So if you get paid the fee that you want, or around about the fee that you want, that's great. Take the gig, no problem. The second one is E, experience. You need experience. You need flight time. That's going to make you a better magician. Trust me, you can be better than where you are right now. And you will be better. And that comes from going and gigging, not showing magic to friends, not showing magic in your bedroom, not practicing at home, experience. If you've got a chance to go and do a gig that you've never done before, to practice at that sort of gig, my advice would be to take it. If you're free that day and you've got nothing else on, why not? And the A stands for assets. That can be anything from photos, it can be videos, it can be reviews, anything to build up that online presence, that digital footprint. And then what happens is over time, you build up that digital footprint, because if you try to compete with that $1,000 magician and you're charging $1,000 and they're charging $1,000, you will lose 99 times out of 100 if you don't look at the level that they are. But if you're lower priced when you first start, you're going to capture a completely different market, which that market is less concerned with the social proof and the assets that you've got. And yeah, it might not be the level that you want to be at ultimately, but being at that level is going to give you flight time. It's going to give you experience. It's going to give you an opportunity to build up your online presence. It's going to give you an opportunity to build up your digital footprint, and it's going to give you everything else that you need. You get good at that level. You become the best $200 magician that you can be, and then you up it to a $400 magician and a $600 magician and a $900 magician and whatever it may be. But you can't skip the steps. If you're here and you want to be there, there's certain steps that you have to go through. You can't skip those steps. You have to take them, because you have to know how you got to that next step. I could give you $1 million and say, here's $1 million, here's a successful business, start doing it. And that would be great, and that would catapult you up to there. But when things go wrong, and ultimately, trust me, in business, things do go wrong. And if you don't believe me, hello, 2020 it's called a pandemic. When things go wrong and the business suffers, because there are highs and lows, there's peaks and troughs, there's ups and downs, and you go backwards a little bit. If you haven't done those steps in the first place, you're not going to know what to do to get to that next level, because you've never done it before. And it becomes a lot harder to continue to thrive and survive. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully that answered your question. It's a long answer, and I'm very sorry about that. But in terms of pricing, without going onto the Netrix, and I understand that you can't afford that, and that's fine. Without going onto the Netrix, hopefully that's enough information that you need to, and this is just my opinion, but that's what I do. Okay, so the next question is from Mago Antonio. Hello, Mago. Great video as usual, Craig. Thank you. I have a very simple question. What would be the optimal size for a diamond cut silk to fit into a regular size Vernet thumb tip? I've worked with a lot of square silks, but I've never touched a diamond cut one, so I'd like to have your ideas. Thanks. Just for people's reference, what he means by diamond cut silk is a normal silk, a normal square silk. You know, they come in various different sizes, 9-inch, 12-inch, 15-inch, 18-inch, 20-odd inch. A diamond cut silk is basically cut like a diamond. It's half the size of a normal silk, but it looks like the same size, but it's half the size. So you can't open it up and show it like that. But when you're holding it like this, it looks like a proper silk. So you can take what is apparently a bigger silk and fit it into a smaller load chamber. I would go for 12 or 18 inches. 12 inches will comfortably fit into the thumb tip. If you're using an XL Vernet, then you could probably get away with an 18-inch. But again, it depends on the size of the thumb. So I'd say 12 or 18 inches is what you want to go for. Okay, so the next question is from Sean Undertrack. Hey Sean, how you doing? And the question is, I've learned a lot from watching the Matchamentary. The reaction he gets from some very simple yet direct effects like mind reading using a Stebbins deck makes me realize that such a straightforward effect as pick a card and revealing it can have an impact on the spectators. Have you learned anything from teaching Matt? I think that's similar, to be honest. Like, you're going to see on a future episode of the Matchmentary that I took him to a big gig on New Year's Eve. Me and Ryland and Kat took him to a big gig, and he was involved in the close-up all the way through. He was also involved in a stage show later on in the evening, and it was his kind of first big gig on his own. And he did great, like he did really, really well. But he was rocking it. Like the reactions he was getting from the tables were brilliant. And I think it's because of his background as an actor, because he's got this ability, which a lot of magicians don't have. He's got that kind of that X factor. He's got that likability factor. He has people listen to him. When he walks over, people listen to him, and he can take very, very simple tricks, and he can make a very big deal out of those very simple tricks. And it's a joy to watch, really, to be honest. And I think sometimes we make things hard for ourselves. I think that's the one thing I've learned from watching Matt. I've spent years studying sleight of hand, and I don't regret it for a second, not even for a millisecond. I would do it all again, exactly the same way. But I get a question on this channel all the time, which is, I feel like I'm ready to go and perform. When should I go and do it? And I think that the one thing I'm learning from Matt is right now. You don't have to have the perfect double lift. You don't have to have perfect technique. He's getting better every single day, and that's coming from flight time and going out and performing for real people. And ultimately, at the end of the day, magic isn't that difficult. We make it difficult, and it can be difficult at a certain level. But just to go out there and do a gig and do a good job at a gig, which is what he's doing right now, you don't have to have that big a repertoire. You don't have to have that much skill. You don't have to have that much experience. And so the thing that I've learned from this, the thing that I would suggest everybody take on board, is for those people that are watching this video that have been into magic for a little while and have not really gone out and performed for people outside of their immediate friend group and family group, for those people that sit at home studying this stuff, but they're anxious or worried about performing for real people, my advice is just to go out there and do it, because what's the worst that can happen? And by going out there and just doing it, it's ultimately going to make you a better magician. Okay, so the next question is from Jake Burke, and Jake says, "Hey Craig, I have a question about separating yourself from your magic persona. Recently, some new friends asked me to perform some mentalism at a bar, and it went incredibly. But afterwards, someone mentioned that they were scared of me, even though I told them it was all trickery. Similar things have happened where friends won't let me shuffle in card games, thinking I might cheat. You have an awesome con man style, and I was wondering if that's ever followed you around after performing, and if so, how you deal with it." It's a great question, Jake. I suppose, I don't really play cards. I can imagine if I did play cards, my friends would joke around with me and say, "Oh, don't play cards with him. Don't let him shuffle the deck." But, I don't know is the answer. This one's kind of stumped me a little bit. I don't really know, because I do keep everything very, very separate. And I've talked about this before on the channel, but when I'm out and about, because I perform magic so much, because I do so many gigs and I film so much stuff for YouTube, and I'm constantly, even when I'm like taking Ryland to a gig, people know I'm a magician. I'm constantly performing. I don't really, when I'm in my friend group very often and I'm out with friends, I don't really perform magic. I don't feel the need to, because I don't have a problem trying material out to a real audience. And a lot of the time, when you perform magic to a real, when you perform magic to friends, it's to work material in before you do it to a real audience, right? I don't have a problem going and doing it straight away to a real audience. So, I mean, my friends know I do magic, but they know that it's not real. They know that, I'm very open about the fact that, what I do is not real. I'm just cheating. And as I don't play cards and I don't gamble, I'm not in a, if I played cards, if I gambled, then maybe people might say, whoa, we're not going to play cards with you. But I don't really play cards. I wouldn't even know how to play poker. I can pretend I know how to play poker when I'm doing poker demonstrations or whatever, but I haven't got a clue. So yeah, I mean, I I keep it very separate. You know, I've got other stuff that I talk about when I'm out with friends and family. So, for example, just a couple of days ago, we met up with all of Sarah's family for Christmas. It was at the beginning of January because that was the only time we could meet up. Everybody could get together. So there were about 25 people in this pub thing. We had a separate function room, and we're all together. Every single one of them knew I did magic, and I didn't do a trick. Didn't feel the need to do a trick. I don't feel the need to perform magic all of the time because I get my fix by going out and gigging all of the time and going out and doing so much content for this YouTube channel. Maybe if I was the sort of guy that was constantly performing to my family and every 5 seconds I was like, let me show you a trick, let me show you a trick, maybe that would be different. But that's not the case. I do keep everything very, very separate. And I think they know that because a lot of the time they don't ask me to do a trick. So yeah, it's an interesting question. It's a really great question. But the answer is, honestly, it's not something that's ever concerned me. I don't play it for real. I wouldn't necessarily do mentalism, or if I did, I wouldn't play it as real mentalism. And I know you said that you told them it was trickery, but they're probably not going to believe you. I would consider maybe teaching them a really simple trick, like a really simple trick to illustrate the fact that it's not real. Like teach them something ridiculously simple that's not going to impact anything. Like, for example, a cut deeper force is a great example, or a key card or something like that. Teach them something really, really simple and say, look, it is just tricky. Let me give you an example. I'm going to teach you a trick. They'll probably like that. And then hopefully that will illustrate the point that you're not really reading minds and what you do is fake. I don't know. That's the best I've got, to be honest. I'm sorry if that's not the answer that you want. But I've never had an issue with this, really. It's something that I've completely decompartmentalized, so I've never had an issue with it. But that's probably the best advice I can give you. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter. Hey, Adrian. Adrian says, hi, Craig. Happy New Year. Same to you, my friend. My New Year's resolution is to learn 2 of the magic tricks that I already own before buying a new one. Yeah, good luck with that. My question is it important to practice sleights with both hands? I am right-handed. I can do a classic palm with a coin only in my right hand. I can do a French drop from left or right hand and a shuttle pass from left or right hand, but not vice versa. Surprisingly, with cards, I find one-handed cuts a lot easier with my left hand. Yeah, I'm the same, actually. I'm right-handed, but I find when I do a one-handed shuffle or one-handed cuts, I tend to use my left hand. I don't know why, I've just kind of always learnt it that way. Look, in an ideal world, it's nice to do a classic palm. I can classic palm coins in both hands. I can do most sleights with both hands. Probably not quite as well with my left hand or with my right hand, but I can do sleights fairly well with both hands, especially coin sleights. However, if I had to start again from scratch, if somehow my memory was wiped and I can't remember anything and I had to start off again completely from scratch, I definitely wouldn't go down the route of learning stuff with both hands, because I've learned at this point there's so many more important things to learn. The time that it takes you to master a sleight in both your left hand and your right hand, you could learn a million other moves that are far more useful, or a million different routines that are far more useful than learning how to do that sleight that you can do perfectly well in your dominant hand, in your non-dominant hand. Realistically, it's not a skill that you're going to need very often. Is it a nice thing to be able to do? Yes. Is it useful? No. And ultimately, the other thing to consider is, yourself. Do you enjoy practicing? Do you enjoy practicing these moves in your non-dominant hand? If you do, and you get enjoyment from it, then go for it, because ultimately, at the end of the day, magic is a hobby. Yes, we make money from it, and it may be a performance art, but it's also a hobby. So if you enjoy mastering sleights, and there's people out there that really enjoy the process of learning sleights, and they just want to learn more and more sleights, and if that's you, that's fine. But if you're doing it just because you think it's something that you need to do, I would consider that there's other things that you can learn in magic that are far more useful than becoming a master of a sleight in both your right and your left hand. Okay, so the next question is from Seth Howard, and Seth says, great video as always. Really appreciate all the hard work you put in. Thank you very much. And Seth says, do you know of any tricks that use crystals or gemstones? Yes, I do. Obviously, the one that springs instantly to mind is the pendulum trick. Now, if you want to learn about pendulum magic and anything to do with pendulums, you want to speak to Jester Styles, Tom Mullinger. He's a very close friend of mine, love him to bits, and he's a master of using pendulums. It's not something that I use. It's not my style by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen him slay a room with a pendant, with a crystal on the end of it. So there's that. Now, the other thing to look for is in a couple of weeks, I've got an interview with a guy called Drew Perry. Now, Drew is a professional prop maker. He makes props for Hollywood films and so on and so forth, but he's also an incredible magician. He is the guy that made the gimmicks for Hard Stretch by Roman Armstrong and Alakazam. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I've got an interview at Talk Magic that's already been filmed. It's currently being edited by Michael, and it might be up by now, for all I know. I'm not too sure. I know that it's done, and I don't know what interview is putting up this Saturday. It might be Drew, but if not, it'll be coming very, very soon. And he's got a trick with crystals that he's created that Magic Maisie does, and it's amazing. And I know he's going to be marketing it at some point, and he talks briefly about it in the interview. And this is one of the best things that I've ever seen. So have a look for that. Reach out to Drew Perry. He's a really great guy, and but he's got, in my opinion, the best crystal trick, and it's going to be coming soon. Okay, so the next question is from Adam Conhorst, and Adam says, we need Hows and Whys of the thumb tip ASAP. I'm working on it right now, buddy. Thanks as always for the great content. You're more than welcome. And P.S. Flip Balm looks amazing. Hey, Flip Balm is brilliant. I carry it around with me everywhere. It's one of those tricks that I love, and I'm so proud of the fact that Seth Race and Penguin Magic asked me to be a part of that. I really am. So yeah, I mean, Flip Balm, brilliant trick. And the thumb tip stuff, I'm working on that, no problem. Okay, so the next question is from Warren Treadaway. Warren, by the way, is an amazing close-up magician. And if you haven't already connected with him, please do so. He is brilliant, very engaging, and very, very skillful. Warren says, hey, Craig, great show as always. Thank you, buddy. My question is with regards to your monster coin routine. When you put this out on your Parlor DVD, you said that you preferred magic that happened in threes, which is why the routine was done with just $3 silver. However, on the Netrix, the routine is taught using 4 coins, which means you have to ditch 1 coin to move on to the 3-5 plays. Why have you added the extra coin, and is the reason for the change in the routine? That's a bloody good question. I don't know. I flipped onto 4 coins. I went into 4 coins probably about 4 years ago. And the reason I did, I'm trying to remember back now, the reason I did was because I thought that the extra beat would make a big difference in the routine. I wanted to have that extra moment before the finale, and I thought by adding an extra coin, that would do so. And the reason it stuck, and I tried it out for a bit, and I always knew I wanted to go into 3-fly after that. And I knew the only way to go into 3-fly would be to take 1 coin away and openly say, I'm going to put 1 coin away, let's just use 3 coins. And I was worried that by putting that 1 coin away, people would think maybe I'm using an extra coin. But that's not the case. I've performed with 4 coins now for probably 4 or 5 years, and no one's ever even suspected there might be an extra coin in play. Because I'm using a shell, I've got so many clean displays where they can see that there's only 3 coins in play at any time. And so it just kind of stuck. And I think that it's really important to re-examine what you're doing in your act, and don't be afraid to try new things. Now, I've tried stuff in the past that just hasn't worked. Just not even in the slightest worked. And I've tried it, and I've just immediately put it away and gone, right, okay, that's not going to be something that I'm going to do. But I wouldn't know that if I hadn't tried it. And this is a perfect example of, I had this preconceived notion that 3 coins were best. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that assumption. And there's a lot of people out there that use 3 coins. And I'd be happy to go out and do a coins across today with 3 coins. I did for years. But by me constantly challenging what I do and saying, well, let's vary it up a bit and let's try 4 coins, does that impact the routine at all? It made, in my opinion, the coins across stronger. So yeah, it's a great question. That's the reason I wanted that extra beat in the first phase. And I was hoping it wouldn't affect anything in the rest of the routine. And as far as I can see, it hasn't impacted anything in the rest of the routine. But I don't know if you do the monster coin routine, Warren. But if you do, pick the one that's best for you. You know the reasoning. If you've seen Parlor, you know the reasoning why I went with 3 coins. And if you've watched the tutorial on the Netrix, you know why I went for 4 coins. Both are valid reasons. So just kind of decide which is the best one to go for you and then go down that route. So the next question is from David Fays, and David says, hey Craig, I watch your videos every night after work. You've inspired me to get back into Magic after a few years hiatus, which I couldn't thank you enough for. Man, that means the world to me. Thank you. I've created a card trick I'd love to show you. What's the best way to contact you? The best way is to just send me an email, craig@magictv.org. I'll be honest, over December, I've just been away with the fairies. I've done like 50 shows in December. I've literally not slept for an entire month. And it's been ridiculous. Ridiculous. But now I'm a lot freer. January is going to be good for me. It's still manic at the moment, but it's going to calm down. And I've had a few emails that I need to get back to in the last couple of weeks over December. But I should be able to reply to people a lot quicker now. So the best thing to do is just to send me an email, craig@magictv.org. We can either jump on a Zoom call, or if you want, you could just upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video and send me the link, and then I can get back to you on it. However you want to do it is absolutely fine. But yeah, I'd love to see it. I love magic. I love to see people's routines. So please bring it on, show it me. Okay, so the next question is from Justin Hutchins, and Justin says, hey Craig, question. I got your elf trick before Christmas and I really loved it. But now Christmas is over and I probably won't be doing anything till Christmas next year. Do you think you're going to be bringing out any other similar packet tricks this year? Maybe around a theme that can be done all year round. I've got a set of 3D, not DVDs. Oh my God, the 1990s called and wanted their DVDs back. I've got a set of 3 projects coming out with RSVP Magic. And I can't really say what they're on. But a lot of the content, not all of it, but probably 20 to 25% of the content is on packet tricks. And they're getting released at Blackpool, I believe. So that's one thing that you could do. I am speaking to Peter Nardi at Alakazam about a couple of packet tricks, but they are created for a specific theme. So that's something that might be coming around about Easter time. That's all I'm telling you. I'm going up to Alakazam straight after the session, and I'm having a few days there to film some projects, and we're going to be speaking about packet tricks at the same time. So that might be something. But yeah, in terms of packet tricks that work all year round and routines that work all year round with a small packet of cards, look out for the announcement from RSVP about the stuff that I've got coming out with them, because I think that's a big element of what you're going to be looking for. Okay, so the next question is from the Magic and Mentalism Library, and the Magic and Mentalism Library says, hi Craig, what microphone do you use for your parlor performance, handheld or headset type ones? And do you have any recommendations for the microphone? Thanks in advance. I use a headset, I always have. I really struggle with the handhelds. I've tried handhelds for years, but I need my hands, and a headset works for me. The ones that I use now are the Shure head mics. They're the best ones in my opinion. They're the ones that I use, Ryland uses. I love them. I have had in the past, I have used Sennheisers, and they're great. I've got a couple of Sennheiser head mics and have no problem using them, but I gravitate towards the Shure mics. I do prefer the battery element in it, because you can charge the battery inside the transmitter. So when you get to a gig and you set the mic up, you can just pop the battery on charge inside the transmitter, and just before you go on stage, you can take it and put it into your pack. And the sound quality is great, and there's so many different things you can do with it. So I'd say the Shure mic is the best one, and I would absolutely recommend anybody to get a headset. I've got another question here for the Magic and Mentalism library, and the question is, how would you recommend closing a Mentalism show? Well, I can tell you how I like to close the show. If I'm doing Mentalism, or I've got a Mentalism slant to my show, I like to close personally with the revelation that everything was predetermined during the show. And I have two ways of doing that, depending on the audience I'm performing for. If I'm performing for a smaller audience, I use No Brainer by Bill Abbott, and that's small to medium-sized audiences. And I've just recently rebought a master prediction system. And the master prediction system is awesome. And that's perfect for bigger shows and bigger audiences. So I'd say a master prediction system or a no-brainer style thing is the best way to close the show and show that everything that's happened during the course of the show was predetermined. I think that's a really great way to go. Okay, so the next question is from Karini Jaramillo. And Karini says, excellent channel, thank you very much. Thanks for the quality material and videos you put out. Again, you're more than welcome. When are you going to do your EDC video with a keyring? You mentioned many times. Is it time now? That will be happening by the end of January. So by the end of January, I am going to be bringing that video out, and it's going to be going up probably on a Sunday or a Friday. So look out for that. It's been half filmed. I'm getting Ryland involved in that video as well. So it's taking a little bit longer because he has a very busy schedule, but it will be coming very, very soon. Okay, so the next question is from Yurik Elkskaseth. And Yurik says, I performed the Chicago opener to some family and friends, but they caught my double lift. The trick had worked perfectly on other people before this moment. What could I do to make it more deceptive? What should I do if someone catches me during a trick? I think my double's pretty good. The person just saw through the method. This grown-up person even grabbed my double. Well, first of all, if somebody grabs my cards while I'm performing, I tell them to chill the fuck out, like seriously, regardless of whether I'm at a gig or performing in whatever situation. I will literally break character at that point, and I'll say, hey man, this is entertainment. I'm not trying here to fool you. It's not real. If you think it's real for a second, it's not. I'm just cheating. And my job is to try and cheat and make it entertaining to you guys. I don't expect you to grab my cards. I don't come around where you work and, you know, knock your... I'm not going to say it, but I think twice, Craig. Think before you speak. But I'm not, you know, I take that sort of shit very seriously. I am not for 1 second going to accept people grabbing my cards in the middle of a performance. I'm there to entertain them. And if they become that grabby, I stop performing. I'm like, well, I'm really sorry. You know, this is meant to be entertaining. If I'm irritating you to the point that you're grabbing my cards off me, maybe this isn't the best time to do magic. And I just stop there and then. And if I'm at a gig, I walk away from that table because they've crossed the line as far as I'm concerned. In terms of people catching your double lift, can happen from time to time. Just can happen. There's nothing you can do about it. You got a good double lift. You've had it fine 1,000,000 times. Great. You know, it's that mental attitude of if you worry about what being caught, well, you know, whatever. A lot of the time, if somebody goes, oh, you turned over 2 cards, or oh, the coin's in your other hand, or whatever it may be, I just go, yeah, and because why get into an argument with them? Why go, no, I didn't? Because you can't prove it. You can't prove it either way. So instead go, oh, yeah, I did. Well done. Give yourself a pat on the back. What do you want, a medal? Oh, sorry, did you think this was real? It's not. Just so you know, I'm cheating. But thanks for your input. I really appreciate it. But I do it in kind of a jokey way. And if you've watched some of my live performance videos, you'll probably see the sort of stuff that I do. But it's about your character and how you deal with it. But my way of dealing with it is just completely, because then they've got nowhere to go. Because if somebody goes, oh, you turned over 2 cards, They're trying to get a rise out of you a lot of the time. They've figured it out. They think they're really clever. And so they go, oh, you turned over 2 cards. I know how you did that. I'm like, yeah, well done. Now what can they do? Now what can they say? You've got, yeah, you turned over 2 cards. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Do you think magic's real? No. By the way, Santa doesn't exist. Grow up. Yeah, again, it very much depends on your character. I know what I can get away with. I know what I can't get away with. And it very much depends on an audience by audience basis. But that's the sort of style that I go to. I don't believe in having an argument with the spectator. I don't believe in going, no, I didn't turn over 2 cards, and then just show them another trick. And you go, oh yeah, you caught me. Yeah. There's this move called the double. I did it. Obviously, you caught it. Well done. That's amazing. Let me show you a different trick, and do a different trick that's got a completely different method, a self-working trick that will absolutely blow their head off. Just go down that route instead. But that's my advice. Don't get caught up in the arguments. First of all, if they grab your stuff and they're starting to get really grabby, that's it. End of performance as far as I'm concerned. But if they're just shouting out, oh, you turned over 2 cards, just play it down. Yeah, I did. Yeah, well done. Congratulations. Yay. You know what I mean? Just play it down. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. Okay, so the next question is, can you teach your Quiver coin across on the Netrix? Yes, I can do, absolutely. If you want to see it, no problem. I've got an upload coming up, not this Monday, but 2 weeks' time, and it's going to be an upload of my routines. I'll include the Quiver coins across, no problem. It's an amazing trick. This Monday, I've got Nemed Phoenix joining the Netrix, and he's got some incredible stuff that he's putting onto the Netrix. I'm very, very excited about that. So that's coming up this Monday, and he's going to be teaching all of his killer working material. So look out for that. That's going to be this Monday, but the next upload in a couple of weeks' time, for sure, 100%, as part of the upload, I'll do the Quiver coins across. Not a problem. So there you go, guys. That is another Q&A in the bag. Now, stick around, because at the end of this, there's going to be a little video that I'm going to be shooting at a separate location in the office later on today, and it's going to be me drawing out the winners to this color psychology competition. If you don't know about that, I reviewed color psychology. Adam Wilbur from Vulpine is giving away 2 free color psychologies. I'm going to be doing that draw right now at the end of this video. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining me one more time here on Magic TV. I really appreciate it. There's going to be a review show special this evening, so look out for that. If you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, please go check out the Netrix. You can do that by going to www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV. Okay, so as promised, we are going to do the draw, and the draw is for winning 2 color psychologies by Vulpine and Adam Wilbur. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and look at the review show special. There was a competition that myself and Adam set, and 2 winners are going to receive the new color psychology by Vulpine. If I draw your name out, I've taken all of the people, well, Jack actually took all the details of all the people in the comments, put them on little slips here. We're going to reach in, we're going to take out 2 winners. If you are a winner, congratulations. If you are, email Vulpine and tell them that you won the Magic TV competition that Craig and Adam set, and they will organise getting one sent out to you. So here we go. The first winner is this person here, and the winner is Brandon Bennett. So the first winner right there is Brandon Bennett. Big round of applause for Brandon Bennett. That's absolutely amazing. The second winner is... I'm throwing them all over the table here, Jack. Michael, hang on, let me just put all those away. This one, right, okay. The second person is... Let's have a look. Mike Tyson by TKO. Mike Tyson by TKO. So Mike Tyson by TKO and Brandon Bennett, congratulations on winning. You guys have a color psychology winging its way to you. Just go onto the Vulpine website, email Vulpine or contact them on Facebook. Tell them that you've won the Magic TV competition, and I hope you enjoy performing it. And one more time, guys, thanks very much for joining me right here on the Q&A this week on Magic TV.